my accent. I know you've been,
Now we
you've
are
just,
live.
it's well, beautiful.
I
It's a
love it.
pleasure.
I love this style that I've chosen, which is conversational interview style. And yes, I thought you saw it when I put to the three, two, one, go. And my dear bestie Ronald says, "Oh, and I was going to work on my accent." But you know, your accent is the beautiful part. Accents are mysterious for me. When I hear anyone with an accent, I want to know, oh, where are you from? What language is that? How did you get, how? And some people get really annoyed at me because they might be here. In fact, two Ugandan fellows delivered my fridge on Thursday. And I said, oh, where are you from? Well, we're from Ottawa. We just got transferred up here to deliver fridges and then we go back to Ottawa. And I said, and how long have you been here? Okay, then one said 5 years, but they didn't really want to go back. So I could see, I said, I know Uganda. I was there and I thought you looked familiar. And then that broke the ice for them. But it's interesting how accents can sometimes be a pain of contention because people with their accents, I have an accent. And anytime I would try to say anything in Ugandan or Amharic, they laugh because it's funny because the accent
Yeah,
adds some humor.
that's right. And that's what happens. It's the same thing here. When a white person comes over here, it's very difficult for you, if it's your first time to interact with them, to pick whatever they are saying. So each time you'll be like, hey, I beg your pardon, come again? What did you say? Not until they write down something. So that accent disturbs two sides. If you're
Absolutely.
over here, you suffer. But now, if we also come that side, it's difficult for you to pick us, to understand us. But when we try to listen critically and not rush to maybe reply or talk, you're able to understand whatever this person is saying, no matter the accent. So listening becomes key when it comes to accent and such kind of communication.
And that's so true. I mean, one of the areas of my work, as I think you're aware of, is to work with people with accents because it's fine to have, I think we celebrate our accents, but we also need to be able to understand what is being said. So when I work with people with accents, I keep their accent, but then I help them with the words that aren't clear or the pace and yeah, and to celebrate. They feel so much better once they celebrate instead of saying, oh, people are laughing at me for my accent or putting me down. So it happens to be a great way that we're opening here, not what we had planned, but that happened. And for our
Yeah.
listeners, if you read the article, we are here talking about awakening community. Now, I know from this old life that community is who raised me, community is who I go back to, and community is what I build around me every day of my life. Community is Sandra. With that, when I met you, I had already been in Uganda. And that was why when you came on, I think it was Clubhouse, and you were speaking so well, and you were saying, I'm from Uganda, and here's what I'm working to do. And it was a conversation. So I go in behind and I said, oh, I was in Uganda. And that's how we connected. Because I think a lot of times people in the bigger world who are maybe afraid of Zoom and afraid of how big the world is now that we're such a little world in technology, that I think that's important about how we met. And Ronald, you didn't let me go after I said hello. What happened to you when you met me?
First of all, you did know this, but when I first met you, actually before even you texting me or me texting you, I first also heard you talk. And I was like, hey, how can I get closer to this powerful person? So behind my back, I was like, I need to get close to this person, get to know at least 1% of who she is, and maybe she can be a good coach for me. That was my primary intention. It was not like these other first impressions that we get whenever we see a white person. You're like, oh, this is maybe a passport to America or a passport to Canada. No. For my case, I heard you speak, and honestly, you changed my life in just a second, and I wanted to know more. So when I sent you a text, then you were like, hey, if it's about money, I'm not in. Then I said, no. He said, go away if it's about money. I said, no, it's not about money. I just want to know a little bit about you, and maybe you could help me with what I do. This is what I do. I'm into community development. I'm into community empowerment. And when you speak with a lot of clarity, and this is what I'm lacking in my organization. And I was so happy when you said, okay, if that's the case, I'm in. And I was so happy that day. And from that time, our friendship grew from strength to strength. Each time I go to speak to you, I was getting these crazy, beautiful ideas in my head. I was like, hey, let me try it. And each time I implemented some of the advices that you gave me, some of the ideas, things were coming out exactly how we anticipated them in our conversations. And that to me meant everything. I didn't look at you from any other angle. And that's why I call you my clarity and confidence coach, because you've given me a lot of clarity in everything that I do. And I think clarity is very key if you're doing anything. If you get to know what exactly is needed, where, when, and how, once you're able to answer those questions, then you know uh, failure is no more near to you. And that's what you gave me. That's why I celebrate you. We celebrate you as Uganda, as Palisa community, and every person is like, hey, one day we want to hug this amazing lady because you are unusual. Exactly. I
Thank you.
can testify that with blood.
Thank you. And I've always said, oh, this old girl, or these decades, and you keep saying, nah, I would never care about the age with you because it just surpasses. And a lot of my blessing, and I don't know, I was going to say, I don't know quite how it happens. I do engage with a lot of young people, but usually when I'm talking young people here, they're probably 35 to 50. And you're how old now?
I'm now 29. I'm going just to make 30 years
29, almost 30 years old. But you came across so serious and so dedicated and so passionate. And I'm not going to share a lot of your story, but this one or two lines that just kind of grabbed me. That when you were a child in a large family, I think you said 13, 11 or 13 kids, you were
old.
in the
11.
middle. 11? You were in the middle. And people that don't understand eating in Africa in general, here we would say, oh, they're eating with their hands. Well, yeah, they were made before forks.
Yeah.
We were the ones that used to eat with our hands too, but we like forks now, and we lose a lot of community. I still eat my French fries and my chicken and everything with my fingers. We all do, and the thing was that here you were, this little kid in the middle of a pack of 11 kids, and you were so poor that your patches had patches on them, and the poor kids teased you for being so poor. That stuck with me because the power of that is that when we open our minds and get a focus and have a passion and determine where we're going, that I'm giving myself goosebumps even talking about it from that, Ronald, just how important it is that you, this little child in the middle of 11 kids, poor meant there was one pot of food in the middle, and if you didn't get your hand in there and get your food, well, Ronald was daydreaming about education and kind of missed putting his hand in the pot. And that stayed with me as a very, very special indication to me of who you are. Your heart and your soul goes fully into living life and getting a focus and going. That is why you saw me as a coach, but you kept me as a coach. I can come up with the ideas sitting way over here in Canada, but you're the one has to say, okay, that old gal's got something, and I'm going to try that because I think she might have an idea that might work. You never run away from my ideas, however strange they may sound or however difficult they may be to enact within a poverty-stricken community. You have, well, tell me a little bit, how many children do you look after there? How many and why?
Like I said, in 2016, when I had just started this passion, started this cause of supporting the
I'm losing your
underprivileged
sound a
children.
little bit. I'm losing your sound a little bit.
Okay, how about now?
That's better.
Oh, thank you. So in 2016, when I started to implement the passion that I had, for the reasons that I've been always telling people, because the children that we are trying to help, I was once them at that time. I started with less than 5 children, but as an individual. So later on, I got my fellow passion men who joined me, and we made a force because I knew if you are an individual, you can walk faster, but you can't go far. So I wanted more people to join me to push this passion forward. And as we speak right now, we have over 274 children.
Wow.
And I call them children because I try as much as possible to avoid words like orphans, homeless, neglected kids. Because whenever we use such words, they make them feel isolated, first of all. They feel inferior. They feel they're different from other normal children. And this is the kind of feeling I don't want them to have. That's why I call them family. I call them children. And then at one point, because my major focus was to only children.
And then I said, hey, Ronald, what about the grandmothers? I don't know if you froze a little bit, but I'm going to do. And what about the grandmothers? And he said, yes, we have to feed them too, because some of the grandmothers are looking after some of these children that need food and education and da da da. And I said, stop it. You see, I'm a granny. I ain't dead yet. You bring those grannies in here. There's leaders in those grannies. And I'm going to hope that Ronald unfreezes here. But the whole story was, he said, really? I said, yes. Ronald, get those grannies. He went off and instantly created a group of grannies and youth working together. Now, the way it played out was that the grannies had all thought, well, you know, what of the youth? And the youth over there in their 20s, 18 to 20, Ronald would be youth yet too. But the grannies were saying, yeah, they're not going to listen to us. They just have silly, they're just busy playing around. And in would come the youth saying, okay, well, you old grannies, you've got nothing left. You're just a burden that we have to make sure we feed and look after you. And they had this attitude, and they had forgotten community. I'm hoping that Ronald checks back in here in a minute. But they were not having community. Here we can get him back on. So I was just continuing, Ronald, telling about the grannies coming in, how the grannies know nothing from the youth, and the youth are saying, well, grannies are just somebody else they have to feed, and the grannies are saying, oh, you youth, you just talk and play. When you brought them together into a youth granny combination, magic started to happen. And so, of course, my passion is helping the grannies. Your passion is getting all those youth into leaders so that you can get the work spread out. And the youth are integral both ways to help look after the children and to take leadership and encourage the leadership with the grannies. So what happened with the grannies was that they came in, and I love these words, I have to say them. They said to Ronald first and to me, because we did get together on Zoom, and they said, thank you for remembering us. Thank you for remembering us. And the other words that are forever in my mind, our mouths had been muted. Our mouths had been muted. And now that you're back, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about the grannies. And we've got a project that's moving along. If you can start with the, how did we get started in that little project that's kind of getting to be a big project? I'm going to leave the audience in suspense.
I was going to talk about that even if you had not asked.
Get your voice up to the microphone again.
I was going to talk about it even if you had not asked, because it's an interesting story that I could not miss out to speak. At first, when I had a conversation with you, then we spoke about the grannies, and I told you there is that gap in my community. And this gap comes as a result of miscommunication and also failure to understand each group. For instance, the youth think that the old people, the grannies, have nothing to offer. Do anything, they cannot advise them, their ideas are outdated. And that is group A. Group B, the grannies, some of them think that they cannot interact with these young people because, first of all, they are young. They have not seen the world. They have not explored. They don't have experience. So they have nothing to bring on the table. So you find that we are living in a community where the children don't have full access to the grannies. Then also the grannies don't have access to the children. And at the end of the day, the youth start getting problems that maybe they could have not even gotten because these experienced group have been there and have managed to escape. We are in a new era. As youth, we also have something we can teach our grannies. Things have evolved. Technology, the social behavior has changed. We can sit down. So when I told you about that problem, that gap, the clarity that you brought and the idea was, let's integrate these two groups. Let's give them a platform where they can showcase the experiences, the ideas. You will see the synergy happening. And that's exactly what we did. And it happened. So I congratulate you. The Youth Granny Integrated Program is because of your idea, is because of your, you gave a lot of clarity. That's what I can say. And everyone is so happy. The grannies, we now have 63 grannies who are one family integrated in the 274 children. You can imagine how big that family is. But we get to laugh, we get to share, we get to be motivated and inspired by each group. And previously, it was not the case.
Now, I just want to mention that sometimes I have, when we have connected by Zoom, I have seen you there with a room full of children and the grannies. all dancing and singing and playing and watching some shows. I just wanted to put a shout out to my own grannies, my Quinny Grannies for Africa, who helped us fundraise so that you would have the projector and the microphone and the speakers, so that the community could come together and learn from YouTube, dance together, learn to sing. And how has that been a help?
I tell you, let me first thank the grannies who are behind the scenes, uh, and thank you for your leadership and for your openness, because that's what makes them feel connected with us, even if they have not seen us. But because you're able to communicate exactly, because one thing I've known you, you were straight and you're a straightforward person. A is A. A spade is a spade, not a not a big spoon. No. And I want to thank all the grannies who have participated in that. We were able to get a new phone, speakers, and a projector. And the reason was we wanted to have sessions that we could have sessions. Basically, the primary goal was to be able to see you first of all. You didn't know that, but I wanted you to be seen whenever we have sessions. But the other primary goal was we were looking for some ideas on YouTube. We bring clips that are so educative, and we come together as a family and watch these clips and get to learn. Then after we start now brainstorming, we reflect on what we have seen, and through that brainstorming and reflection, we are able to get solutions for most of our problems. Because some of the children still, they found themselves in the state where we found them, not because they participated, but because there has been that generation of poverty that has struck their family, and their mindset is limited to minimal. They don't know that we are living in the world of abundance. Just because your grandfather or your grandmother they only own the bicycle, it does not mean that you are also destined to owning only a bicycle. You can buy an airplane because things can change. So the projector, the speakers was for audibility, the phone was for videos, and we are able to use the same phone to make marketing videos for other business people to earn some extra money to be able to feed the children and also start some other projects are planning. So thank you so much, Sandra, and thank you, Grannies. We love you, and we hope one day Sandra can bring you on board, and we just have that laughter. It will be enough for us.
Thank you. I love to laugh and I love to talk and I love being in Uganda, and I'm looking forward to when I can uh, come again, hopefully next year. That's what my
Well,
plans are. And just before we go on, if people are hearing that squeal, it sounds like the speakers are doing a squealing. That's the insects. Here we would have the June bugs and the cicadas and the crickets all, and we would hear that sound. So once you said it was the insects, okay, must just mention that it's not the equipment. Can you tell us? I know we're getting tight on time here, but because I want to share this particularly with my grannies as well as everywhere, I want to know what's happening with the pigs, because the grannies got together and decided that the pig project might be a good idea. So I think I sent over money for 4 piglets. I think it was, and just to give people an idea, I think it was $50 for 1 piglet, and I think I sent $200 Canadian for 4 piglets. I wanted it to get started. And then I think you said, okay, I'm going to put one in too. So you did put in two.
I put one.
You put in one, so that we have
So
5 pigs.
five pigs.
5 pigs, and they are pigs now. In fact, the pigs have had babies. So the babies,
One of it has given birth to 7 more piglets. So in
Oh,
total, 7 more
yes.
piglets.
Out of the 5 pigs, how many have had babies? Just the one?
That is one.
Okay, one mother pig with 7 piglets, and the others will come along. And then I said, well, as the piglets get a little bit bigger, and you can maybe sell a couple piglets to get money to start other projects, you see, or maybe the piglets go out to another 2, others 4 grannies, you said, are doing a lot of the work on these 5 pigs. But maybe another group of 4 or 5 grannies will look after 2 more piglets or whatever, and we can expand it out. And if necessary, for you to get your money going for more projects, you might sell one of those pigs that's grown pigs. I don't know. This is how we come up with the ideas. But you're saying, okay, right now we're faced with the problem. We've got these 7 piglets from the one pig, and we've got 4 more that haven't had babies yet. But we've got this one pig with the 7 piglets, and now the piglets need to be vaccinated.
Yes.
Is that one vaccine? Is that done once?
They do it every month for a period of 3 months.
Okay,
so it's one every month.
So the 7 piglets need a vaccination every month for 3 months.
Yes.
And how much does that cost to have the vaccination?
Each piglet costs only 8,000 Ugandan shillings.
Okay,
So
and I'm going to go 8 shillings would be what, $33 maybe.
Yes, 33. It's about 30.
10 is 4. I'm going to say about $3 Canadian, just to be roughly. So one vaccination for one piglet is $3, but there's 7 of them. So each month will be about $21
Yes.
Canadian. That's what I needed to know. So each month for 3 months, we need $21 to vaccinate the piglets. Now, if you're writing that down or got that in your mind, we can add that into the comments later. The other thing they need is, now that they're a size, yes, they're nursing the mother pig, but now they need maize. And how much is maize?
A kilogram. I don't know whether you call it a kilogram or whatever.
Yes, we're good with kilogram. That's about 2 pounds for us. But anyhow, a kilogram is good.
Okay, so a kilogram costs 1,500 of maize bran, and we don't use rice bran because rice bran gets stuck at the throat, so it might even kill. So maize bran is the best, and we were estimating at least 182 kilograms per month, and we intend to do this at least for a period of 3 months.
So do you have a total for that?
And then it gives you 2 by 1,500.
Okay, you need to, what's the final total for the 3 months for the maize?
It's about for 1 month it's 200. I sent you in the chat. It's 273,000.
So 40, but $100. Well, less than $100.
Less than, it's less than 100
each month. A month for the 7 of them. Yes, for all 7. So about $80. We'll say $80 a month for 3 months to make sure that they have the maize that they need to grow up on. So
then
that will be.
Then the other element, and we didn't talk about it, but it's very crucial because this is now our project that we need to see it grow as a family, as the team of Grannies in Canada, as the team of Grannies in Palisa, Uganda. It's when you look at the other modification that we did in the pigsty. And by the way, thank you so much for your contribution towards the modification of the floor, because there is no mud in the pigsty. However, after 3 months, we may be forced to expand further because now we cannot accommodate all the 12 pigs in one shed. And remember, even the
Right.
shed is not all that good. So it's something that I wanted just to comment on. But there is need also to get more 4 to 5 iron sheets. We expand a little bit. Then we partition for at least two piglets per partition. But that
Right. And
would be
I,
the
I
future.
think if you go back when you're finishing the charts afterwards, because I'm going to email this out to my own grannies and maybe get it around as far as I can, but definitely it'll also be placed in the Facebook page. But it seems to me with the cement and the gravel and whatever you needed in the water. Oh, and then I bought 4 pairs of boots and 4 pairs of gloves
Exactly.
and brakes, I think, for the heavy. So if you kind of pull that together, I forget just what I paid, but I think it was around another $200 to get everything done. So
I
I'm not
have
rich.
figures.
I'm, yeah, I'm not rich. I don't have a lot of money, but I just want people to know in general, we can awaken communities. If you have your Ronald, if you have your Loveline, if you have your Liz, if you have your leaders who are in integrity and open to grow, it can be done and it is being done. I am just so happy with Ronald and your Ron Lilly, and you have helped another lady I introduced to you to just to launch a huge foundation for single moms because in Uganda if you're a mom you get a single mom, so you got pregnant and so you're thrown out. That's the end of your education. It's awful, but that's the way it is. But they don't need to be that way. They can have their education, they can learn a business, and the grannies the same thing. So that's how we're expanding, and it is multiplying and can keep multiplying, but we do need a little bit of extra help. I'm not worried about, well, it's nice if you got them to do $50 a month or whatever, but even just to get each project itself pushed ahead. So I'm thrilled with anybody that wants to get in touch with me and send any amount. I'll make sure it gets directed and clearly into the exact project that it's there for. So anyhow, Ronald, have you got some closing thoughts? I think we're gone over our 30 minutes here. What's your closing thoughts? I'm so happy you were here today.
I want
Go for
to
it. Up to
thank,
the speaker
thank you
again.
so much.
Up.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Coach Sandra, for your passion, for your resilience. I know it's not an easy task to say, I want to awaken a community, I want to step up, but I want to make this clear that personally I hold you at heart. The Grannies are aware of every single effort that you put forward, regardless whether it's physical or in the background. And this goes also to all the Grannies out there who are behind the scenes. The prayers that we send, we are sure they will reach you, and they reach you, and they will do you good. And as Ronald, I started something that was back then in 2016, but I cannot put it forward as an individual. The passion has become so big to the extent that you are part of this. This is your story. Let's own this story. Let's see how far this project can go. Let's watch people change their lives. And I think that will be the best legacy we can leave behind as human beings. Because the primary goal of us being here, right from the day of creation, was to love one another, to support one another, and to take care of all things around us, including people. So for any person who stands up to me to come and say, you know what, I love what is happening. I want to be part of this story. I say thank you so much, and you are a blessed one and a chosen one. Thank you so much, Sandra, once again for your leadership and you're my coach. I can talk about you like from morning to evening. Thank you so very much. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Ronald. And I'm just going to pop in. I'm going to get the last words after all. I am going to just mention to the grannies that that book, Powered by Love, from the Stephen Lewis Foundation, has found its way not only to my Liz in Barara, but to my Ronald in Palissa, and to my love Lean, who took the extra copy over for Ronald and has become a guide stone for them. So Stephen Lewis Foundation has taught us and trained us, and having my feet on the ground there made a huge experience. And my Ethiopian family here, my mind over the last 20 years has really been blessed and expanded, and I am just thrilled that you are a major part of my life, Ronald. Farewell. Talk to you later.
Bye. Thank you so much. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.